Hello and welcome back to the complete web dev series. I'm gonna turn my AC off here so it's a little less loud and annoying for you. We are in chapter 9 and we're just going through JavaScript and getting caught up with the differences between JavaScript and PHP. We've done a lot of programming up until this point with PHP on a server-side language. Now we're going to use the client-side language a little bit in this chapter and do a few minor projects at the end just to solidify our knowledge of JavaScript a little bit. And then in the next chapter, we're going to focus on Node.js, which is going to be a back-end project again, but we're going to be using JavaScript in the server, and in that case it will be a server-side language, and we're going to build an API, so we won't be interacting with the browser at all. In the next chapter we're going to be using Node.js, and we'll be using another tool that I'll show you then. Alright, so in this video we're going to discuss variables and constants. And so what is a variable? Well, a variable is a way for us to store something in memory. Think of it like a bowl that you can put something in, and then later on you can grab that bowl and take whatever is out of there, look at it and reference it. But really what's happening is you're taking some sort of data and you're saving it into memory in the RAM. Now we don't know exactly where in the RAM that's going to be. In older programming languages you actually had to tell it how much RAM you were going to use, and so you would have to do that management. Now JavaScript makes it really easy for us. We can actually just create a variable and name it, so later when we want to use it we just call it by name and we can reference it or change it or anything like that. So that is a variable, and it's going to store data in RAM that we can either, if it's a variable, we can change it later, or if it's a constant, we're just storing it in RAM so that we can reference it later. So let's go ahead and switch over to the screen here. And I'm gonna go ahead and create a new branch. So if I do get branch, you can see that we are on video 3 now. So I'm gonna do get checkout -b v3, and I'm gonna do get push set upstream v origin v3, and then we are ready to go. So let's go ahead now into our code editor and let's create a new file, and we'll call that new file v3.html. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to do exclamation tab, and then for the title, let's go ahead and do the title of variables and constants. Alright, and inside the body here, we're going to do a script tag. And by the way, you could do this in the head as well, but we're just going to do it here in the body. And let's talk first about variables. Now, in older versions of JavaScript, we didn't have the difference between a variable and a constant, okay? And you would use the keyword var to create a variable. So you would say var color is equal to red, okay? And what that would do is it would store the string of red into memory and label it as color. Now this could be used as a constant or a variable, but it was treated as a variable all the time. So you'll see this in older code, but most new browsers and that use newer JavaScript allow us to distinguish between our variables and our constants, okay? And there might be a slight advantage or to your code if you're using constants. You don't want to use them as variables because one, they could be manipulated and you might not want them to be manipulated, but two, if you don't need them to change in the future, I think that there is a little bit of efficiency added to not having to have a dynamic value there in the RAM, okay? So in order to do this, we have new syntax, so we don't use this var anymore. Instead, the new way is going to be with 2 new keywords, and the first one is let. Okay, so here we'd say let color. Now I can't do color, but let's let name equal to Curtis. And this is going to set up a new variable the same as this, but there's really no difference except for we're using let. Now to create a constant, you use the keyword const, and this will be age, and we'll set that to 40. Okay, so this is a constant now, and we can't change this. So what we could do in here is we could say name is equal to, and I could change this name to Tony right here, and that's not a problem. But if I try to go age and I change that to 41, this is going to be a problem. So let's go now and save this, and then let's visit v3, and you can see that I have an error here in my console. So this is a console error, and it tells us that there is an assignment to a constant variable. So that's kind of a confusing way to say it, but basically what it's saying is you're trying to treat a constant like a variable, because this constant has already been set, and the difference between a variable and a constant is a variable is dynamic and a constant is going to be static. It will not be able to change. So I didn't get that error when I changed the name here, and so what I could do is I can do a console log, and we'll console log name, and then right here after this I'm going to console log name again after we reassigned it with the assignment operator. So if I hit refresh here, you can see first it console logs Curtis, and then it console logs Tony, and that is because it's a variable. So it starts off as Curtis when we console log it here, and we can reassign that here and console log it, and now it is Tony. What's also interesting is in our console here we have access to those variables and constants. So in fact I could just say console log, and I can console log name here and hit enter, and you can see that it says Tony, no different than up here. I could also reassign these, so I could say name is equal to Jules, and then hit enter, and I could say console log name and hit enter, and it's just Jules. Notice how when we access these, we don't have the $ like we do in PHP. In fact, we just call it by name. So there's no, you don't prepend anything here, you just call it by name. So that's it. That was a really short video. There's not much else to talk about with constants and variables, but I did want to mention the difference between there, and then also show you the older way that we assign constants and variables. And so you will come across code that still has this because it may have been written in a time when JavaScript didn't have the let and const ability to create constants and variables. So we'll go ahead and save this and push it up to GitHub. And constants and variables. We'll do a git push, and then I'm going to do a git checkout master and git merge v3, and then I'm going to do a git push here as well. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I know that some of this is review for you who have gone through the PHP class before, but JavaScript's just weird enough to where we need to go through it again and just understand that some people are coming to this chapter not having any programming knowledge because they're on the front end only track, and so they're not going to be doing any sort of back end. I do recommend, though, if you are a new developer, even if you think you want to be a backend or think you want to be a front-end developer, I would encourage you to do the whole course, the whole full stack course, so that you get experience in both. One, having the experience in both will help you be a better developer in general. It'll also help solidify if you want to be front-end or back-end, or you might discover that you enjoy doing both and you want to be a full stack developer. Alright guys, with that, I'm going to let you be. I will see you in the next video. Please comment, like, subscribe. Peace out.